Hello and welcome to another video from Miles Touch Toys, Games, Collectibles. And today, well, we're now looking at something that's very, very old. It's now beginning to become quite rare, and it is very, very collectible and such a wonderful game from the past. We are looking at the 1966 release by Waddington Games from their series of TV tie-in board games. And this particular one we're looking at today is from Gerry Anderson's famous puppet series, Thunderbirds. Now, as you know, Thunderbirds was probably the most popular and the most famous of the Andersons' Supermarionation television series, the puppet series. And it was produced between 1964 and 1966. There was 2 seasons, totaling 32 episodes, and there was 2 feature films made. Each episode ran for about 50 minutes, and the movies were about an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes, something like that. The 2 movies were made for the big screen. However, that didn't quite work out for them. Didn't be as popular as what they thought it was going to be on the big screen. And they were eventually edited into episodes that were shown on television. Okay, so that's a brief history on Thunderbirds, but this is the game that we're looking at today. And this is the front of the box, and it says Waddington's Thunderbirds game, a unique type of team game for 1, 2, 3 or 4 players. And it's got copyright 1966 by John Waddingtons Limited, makers of Monopoly registered trademark. And you can see on the left hand side you've got an image of the hood, and it says based on Gerry Anderson's TV series Thunderbirds, filmed in Supermarionation, 1965 AP Films Limited and ITC Limited. And at the top right hand corner you can see Jeff Tracy, the head of International Rescue, and Thunderbird 3 is just below him there. And at the bottom you've got Scott Tracy, Thunderbird 1 pilot, Virgil Tracy, Thunderbird 2 pilot, Alan Tracy, Thunderbird 3 pilot, Gordon Tracy, Thunderbird 4 pilot, and John Tracy, Space Monitor in Thunderbird 5. Okay, that's the front of the box. Now with these boxes, back in the 1960s or back in the day, there was absolutely nothing printed on the back, but they do have some printing on the side. So let's just have a look at what's printed on the side of the box. So if I lift it up to the side, let's just move it back a bit, it says Waddington's Thunderbirds game. And if I go to the end, it says Thunderbirds, a unique type of team game for 1, 2, 3 or 4 players. So go around to the other side, and we've got the same again, Waddington's Thunderbirds game. And we've got the same again on this end, Thunderbirds, a unique type of team game for 1, 2, 3 and 4 players. Okay, that's the box, and as I said, completely blank on the bottom. That's the box. Let's open it up and let's have a look at the contents and have a look at how the game is played. Okay, so I've opened the lid and I've taken the board out and laid it down, but this is what we've got inside the game. So you've got a pack of containers, that's all the playing pieces and the dice and so on. You've got a pack of cards there. You've got the spinning disc there and the instructions, which we'll come to in a moment. But before, I just wanted to read this to you before we actually have a look at the instructions. So obviously it's got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thunderbirds are go. You can just see all of that. You've got image of Thunderbird 5 on the right hand side there. And it says, a message from Jeff Tracy. You must defeat the evil schemes of the hood. You can only do this by carefully planning and teamwork. Whenever John sounds the alarm, do not be tempted to send every Thunderbird towards the point. The hood likes nothing better than to lure the whole team to one area so that he can strike at a point far away. Unless the rescue needs one special machine, the nearest one should deal with the threat. Do not leave large areas unpatrolled. If one machine has to leave an area, another should try to cover it. Always watch for a new alarm because the hood will be there. Go for him first, even if you are on a special rescue mission. Good luck and good hunting, Jeff Tracy. Okay, so that's the bottom of the box. Let's set the components up and let's have a look at the instructions as well. Okay, so I've opened the packs up and this is what we've got. So we've got 8 picture cards. I think they're all contain the hood in some form or other. You've got the spinner here. You've got the 4 Thunderbird craft, Thunderbird 1, Thunderbird 2, Thunderbird 3 and Thunderbird 4. You've got the hood piece, the dice, and you've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 of these little red things, whatever they are. Red alarm markers, I think they are. And of course, we've got the instructions. Okay, so let's have a look at the instructions and let's see what it says. So it says, rules for playing the game of Thunderbirds. This is a struggle between International Rescue and the Hood, who is constantly trying to destroy aircraft in widely separated places throughout the world. A new crisis is reported every round of turns, and the players, acting as a team, try to reach the alarm points with their Thunderbirds. They also try to catch the Hood himself. So contents, we've got the playing board, directional finder, which is the spinner here, 4 Thunderbirds, blue, Thunderbird 1, which is blue, Thunderbird 2, which is green, Thunderbird 3, which is red, and Thunderbird 4, which is yellow. You got a figure of the Hood, and 8 photographs of the Hood, and 9 red alarm markers, and 1 dice. Okay, so we know the game is complete. The board, 2 sides of the board have red borders with black figures. These are degrees of longitude. The other 2 sides, black figures on green, show degrees of latitude. These figures correspond to those on the directional finder. Okay, so longitude and latitude. So longitude is these ones, the top and bottom, and latitude is the green ones on the left and right. Okay, so it says some squares have special markings. In squares with a blue spot, only number 1 can rescue. With a green spot, only number 2 can rescue. So these spots here. In a red spot, only number 3 can rescue. In dark sea areas, only number 4 can rescue. In squares with 2 colours, spot and circle, both Thunderbirds of these colours must come together to make a rescue. So in this instance, you need Thunderbird 1 and Thunderbird 3. Directional finder. This is used to find the alarm spots. At each round of turns, the pointer is spun and a latitude reading taken. The pointer is spun again and the longitude reading is taken. These 2 readings indicate on which square the alarm has been given. Red markers and the Hood. At each round of turns, a red alarm marker is placed on the square indicated by the directional finder. Each time a Thunderbird lands on a square containing the red marker, a rescue is made and the marker is removed from the board. Every time a new alarm marker is placed, the figure of the Hood is placed with it. His position therefore changes at every round. It is possible for 2 or more markers to be placed on the same square. When a rescue is possible, all markers on that squares are removed together. Each time a Thunderbird, or 2 if necessary, lands on the same square as the Hood, the figure is removed from the board and the pilot claims one of the photographs of him, the first time photograph number 1, then number 2, and so on. Each time these photographs bring International Rescue closer to the Hood until at the 8th time he is finally recognised and captured. If a marker has to be placed on a square already occupied by a Thunderbird, the Hood would be placed there too. When it is the turn of the pilot, he makes an immediate rescue, removing the marker, but he does not throw the dice and does not move from the square. He would also remove and claim a photograph of the Hood. Thunderbirds. They can move vertically and horizontally, but never diagonally. They may never reverse direction on one square. Numbers 1, 2, and 3 can move anywhere over the board and rescue from any square that is not specifically marked. Number 4 can only move by itself over the squares containing C. If there is any blue at all, however little, number 4 can move over it or onto it. Number 4 cannot pass through Panama or Suez canals, but it can travel overland on the back of number 2. To do this, number 2 and 4 must first rendezvous on a C square. Then each pilot in his turn moves both machines, numbers 2 and 4, therefore must always be ready to cooperate. When number 4 travels on the back of number 2, it must always be detached. Therefore, it can rescue in deep water, dark blue areas. If whilst travelling together there is a chance of making a rescue on an unmarked square or a square with a green spot, they may remain together to do so. Rescue requiring 2 machines. It is seldom possible for both machines to rescue the same square in the same turn. If one gets there well ahead of the other, the team must decide whether it should wait there for the second machine. If it does wait, the player piloting it does not throw the dice. A waiting machine can, of course, move off and return if the pilot wishes. The alarm marker can be removed immediately the second machine lands besides the first. There must never be more than 2 machines on one square. The dice. The dice is used to move the Thunderbirds. They must always move to the full extent of the dice throw. A machine wishing to reach any particular square must always make an exact landing, i.e. an exact dice throw. They will sometimes mean circling round 2 or 3 times. Preparation. Each player selects a Thunderbird. All 4 machines must be used. If there are fewer than 4 players, some must pilot more than one machine. One player can have an exciting game on his own, piloting all 4 Thunderbirds. Place the Thunderbirds on the 4 squares marked 1, 2, 3 and 4 in longitude 105 west. And then it's got play. The pilot of Rescue 1 begins. He spins the directional finder and reads the longitude from the outer red band. He spins again and reads the latitude from the inner green band. The 2 readings indicate the square on the board where a rescue is needed. On this square, place a red marker and the figure of the hood. Now, the pilot of Rescue 1 throws the dice and moves his machine accordingly. If the alarm is in a northern latitude, he will head towards it. If it is in a southern latitude, he may decide to move on patrol in the north and leave the rescue to another machine. The other players follow in turn. Rescue 2, then 3, then 4 players take it in turn to spin the directional finder, but Thunderbirds always move on in number order. Winning the game. If International Rescue can claim all 8 photographs before the hood has 9 alarm markers on the board, they have captured him and won. If the hood can place 9 alarm markers on the board before his 8 photographs have been claimed, he has outwitted International Rescue. Copyright 1966 by Waddington Games, Limited, makers of Monopoly, registered trademark. And it's dated the 9th, 66. Okay, there we have it. So quite an interesting board game. There's a lot more to it than you would think. It seems to be a lot more complicated than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be a very, very straightforward board game, but it is an in-depth game, which I suppose Waddingtons, if they made Monopoly, they're making games that you really need to lose your intellect for to complete. So this game was obviously one where it's not just a snakes and ladders style game. It is a game where you have to think about what you're doing, plan what you're going to do, and then go ahead and act on it. And if you're playing with other players, then you really need to team up together, because it's not about which one of you is going to win, it's whether you can beat the hood. So there we are. It's a game with a difference, if you like. So how well did this game do back in 1966? Well, the game done very well. There was a massive quantity of these games produced, and they sold accordingly very, very well. You got to remember, in 1966, we didn't have other things to occupy us. There was no iPads and mobile phones that we could watch things on. If we wanted to watch our television programs, we had to watch them at broadcast. There was no other way to see them. And if you missed your program, then you had to wait for reruns. Fortunately, with things like Thunderbirds, they were rerun quite regularly on the children's Saturday and Sunday morning televisions back in the 60s and 70s. So if we did miss them, we did have the opportunity to see them again sometime within the same year, because they would obviously be rerun. But there was no other way to really watch your programs. You couldn't stream them whenever you wanted to like you can these days. It was literally you wait for them to come on. So there was lots and lots of things produced to keep you enthralled with your TV programs. and board games was obviously a very, very big part of that. And pretty much everybody that was into Thunderbirds had one of these board games, whether they played it or not, a different kettle of fish, or whether they understood the rules properly, different kettle of fish, you know, whether they did or not, or whether they played it or not, but everybody pretty much had one of these in their games cupboard back in the 1960s and the 70s. Obviously now we're moving forward nearly 60 years, 58 years to be precise, since this game was produced. There's a lot of them. Let me put this into perspective. There is a lot of these games that have actually survived the test of time, although you do need to be very, very careful what you are actually buying with these games, because when you do see them on platforms, there's a lot of them on platforms, they do come up, but there's a lot of them that are missing pieces, or they've got broken pieces. You very rarely find one that is 100% complete like this one, and that is with all 9 of the markers there, with all 4 of the Thunderbirds still on their stands. I've seen many of these games with the Thunderbird machines, but with no stands. So the red, the blue and the green stands have all broken off. I've seen many missing the hood figures, many missing cards. I've even seen games with no instructions and no spinner, but they still sell on the platforms. But finding them like this one, and this one doesn't look like it's had very much play at all, if any. The box is still in absolutely fantastic condition, apart from a small area on the front of the box where some tape has been removed, but other than that it's pretty much immaculate. All the pieces are immaculate. The cards are still in almost pristine condition, and obviously the instructions are still very, very good, but there are some slight browning around the edges, which you expect with paper that's 60 years old. And of course the spinner is also fully functional. So finding them like this one in this condition is not easy, and they don't come up very often like this one on platforms. However, if you wanted to buy a game on a platform that's missing pieces, you'll find plenty of them. But finding one like this is few and far between. However, we at Midas Touch have managed to find a few of these, and they are exactly like this one, fully complete with all the pieces and with hardly any use, and they are available to purchase on the Midas Touch website, which you can get to very simply by clicking the link below. It will take you straight to the website, where you'll be able to find this and many other vintage Gerry Anderson items, and many other vintage toys, games and collectibles. Come to that. There's over 10,000 products currently available on the website for you to view and purchase at your leisure. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because we're uploading videos for every new item that goes into the website, and there will be something for everybody. And I am absolutely positive that this is something that you won't want to miss, because we literally have thousands and thousands of new products which we're shooting videos for and uploading on a daily basis. So if there's something in particular you are looking for, something old that you've never been able to find, something quirky you might want to buy for a friend, or perhaps just something from your childhood that you'd like to own again to help you recuperate those long lost childhood memories, well, stay tuned, keep watching, because you never know, the next item we upload could be that item you've been looking for. Okay, that is it for me on this particular item. I do hope you've enjoyed reviewing this wonderful, wonderful old ball game with me. Thank you for watching, and we will see you again next video. So bye for now.